the year I was dragged by a 2,000-pound animal. What we can learn from this experience and how it applies to our online business.
Welcome to the Kingdom Revolution podcast, where we are redefining faith and online business to empower you, the Christian woman, to find your voice, clarify your calling so that you can create, grow, and scale your online business by God's design without sacrificing your faith or values. You know that you've been called to business and you want to do it God's way, not the world's way. You have that inner desire to change your mindset, change your family's legacy, and take your passions, knowledge, life experiences, or even that hobby that you love and create a profitable online business, bringing a
welcome
heavenly
back, Kingdom
solution
Warriors.
to an earthly problem.
Picture this.
Maybe you
It's
have too many
hot.
ideas.
It is
You're not even quite
fair
sure where
time.
to start.
And
Or
it
you're
is
just
a
looking for
hot
that
day.
next
We're
step.
getting ready
Maybe you've
to
been struggling
show
for a
our
few months,
steers.
even
And
years,
I love
duct
this time
taping
of
it
year.
all together
I
with
love this
worldly
time of year back
tactics and
then.
strategies
I love this time
that just
of year
leave
now.
you confused,
Okay.
overwhelmed,
Maybe I
and
didn't love
questioning
that
your
time
calling.
of year so much
And you
as
find
a
yourself asking,
child growing
did I
up
even
and a
hear you
teenager
right, Lord?
sometimes
If that's
because we had to
you,
do a
you're
lot
in
of
the
work
right
to get our
place.
animals ready for
Hi,
fair.
I'm your host,
I
Kristen
grew up on a
Duranci.
farm.
I'm a
and
wife,
all summer
mom,
long we would work
ex-9 to
with our
5er, and
animals
daughter
to
of the
get
king,
them ready
who is using
for
her voice
this time
and her
of year.
online business
Fair
to fight
time.
against the
And as
evil
a young
agenda
kid,
going
it's
on in the
like a
world
lot
today.
of work.
I believe your
There
business
were
is your
nights full of
battlefield.
tears
It's the
when the
how
animals
you
would
get to show up
cooperate.
to use your
There were
voice
nights full
and
of
kingdom
tears
wealth
when we
to
went
fight against the
cooperate with
injustice that
parents.
God has placed
Looking back now, I
on your
can
heart.
definitely
I believe
see
God
that,
is calling women back
it
into
was
position
a
to a
time of
kingdom
frustration
revolution,
for
to the
parents,
battlefield to
and
find their
me,
voice,
being a parent
to stand
myself,
firm for
having
biblical truth,
two
to be the
kiddos, my
change
two
they
step
want to see
kiddos
in this
that
world.
did go through
My
4-H as
battlefield,
well, and
restoring the
decided
family
to
unit the way
have
God
them take,
intended and bringing
pigs to
mamas
the fair,
home
market
so that
pigs,
they
market
can be the
hogs,
one raising
so
their
that they
warriors
could
for the
actually
kingdom,
earn some
making
income,
a living from
but
their
also
own passions
learn
and
the
desires,
valuable
to inspire,
lessons
encourage, and
of,
equip kingdom
working
women
with
in
animals,
business to be
working on a
kingdom
farm,
currency converters,
and the
taking the wealth of this world and
of
converting it
feeding,
into
washing,
God's
and making
kingdom
sure that they're ready
economy.
for fair
So
time.
join me each week as I
see
dive
both
into
sides of the
honest
fence here.
conversations about my journey,
as a child going through
tactical
this, and
tips,
as a parent as
spiritual
well.
and mindset
But
strategies,
I
along
think
with the
I'm going to
step-by-step
date
plan to
myself now. This
empower
is
you
back in the 1990s.
to take that step of faith, to partner with God, and
it
to
was
create,
hot. It's
build,
summertime.
and scale your online
It's
business
fair
by
time,
His
and
design.
we are taking our
Because it's
steers
both strategic
to
and
the
spiritual,
fair.
we have to
Actually,
have
it
the
was
right
only
mindset,
me at
the
that
right
time
heart
that
posture,
decided
and the right
to
strategy to run
show
a business by
steer
God's
as
design.
well. We
So if you're
brought
ready
dairy,
to say yes to all of
then
this,
I decided
you're not
I wanted
afraid
to
to
show
rock
a steer.
that status
My
quo, to
best
be
friend
part
did that.
of a
So for
kingdom
so many
revolution,
years, I could
to stand
see
up for what
the
you are
income that she
passionate
was
about and
bringing in
believe
from
in,
selling
then armor
her
up with Ephesians
market
6
steer.
and put
So
on the
I
full
wanted to
armor
do
of God,
the same
because you
thing.
are a warrior
And
for the
it was
kingdom,
a lot
and He
of
is
work,
going
a lot
to
of
use
late
you
nights, going to
and
other
your
4-H
online
leaders'
business
houses to
do
learn the
some
ins and
pretty
outs of showing
amazing
different
things
animals, just to
here
make
on
sure
this
that we
side of
had a
heaven.
roundabout knowledge of showing other animals as well. Early morning chores that would be led to more tears sometimes. And goodness, looking back, I can definitely see my parents were teaching me discipline and the rewards of hard work. And with my two kiddos, the same thing. I was teaching them discipline, the rewards of hard work. And now they're in their 20s, and they will definitely say that this was a important time during their life where they learned great lessons from their mistakes and from their failures. And now my little one, who's almost 2.5, I really look forward to the day where I can start to get him involved on the farm as well. Well, I learned a lesson, or probably a couple lessons, one hot summer in August when I was taking my 2,000-pound steer to the other side of the fairgrounds to wash him, because I didn't want to be patient enough and wait for a wash stall, all against my father's instructions and his warning as well. So on one side of the fairground were the hogs, all the market animals. On the other side of the fairground were the dairy. And one summer we had a power washer. My dad had built a cage that we could put the animals in, our dairy, and they stayed in there, and then we would just use this power washer. Oh my goodness, talk about lazy, right? But this power washer to wash the animals. I mean, goodness, it probably wasn't the best idea, right? Because power washers are quite loud. So anyways, I'm like, I'm going to take my steer and I'm going to wash him on this side of the fairgrounds. This is where our holder is, and it'll all be fine. Well, the next thing I knew, I was being dragged through the fair barns. I heard lots of muffles and screams, and through my tears, I was trying not to let go because I knew I was going to be in a lot of trouble if I lost this steer. I was already going to be in a lot of trouble, but I did not want to let go, and I was being dragged through the fair barns, and I could hear the screams through my tears. Finally, I couldn't hold on any longer. Tired, defeated, dirty, probably poopy as well. I just let go. There were a lot of lessons I got to learn from this experience. And our summers were preparing from the fair as well, or preparing for the fair. But from this experience, the number one lesson I was taught was I should have just let go. That was the very first thing my parents told me. My father said, you should have just let go. After he saw me, I remember I had a scratch on my arm that needed to be bandaged up, and I was in a lot of pain, right? If I'm being dragged by an animal, let it go. So number one lesson for you, if you're ever being dragged by an animal, let go. Let the adults get the animal wrangled up. That's what he told me. Okay, great, got that. Then we went into the lesson of I should have been obedient in the first place. And this whole situation wouldn't have happened, right? If I would have just listened and been obedient to my father's voice, I wouldn't have been in this situation that left me humbled, my pride hurt, I'm sure, and this whole thing wouldn't have happened. And then the very last lesson I learned from this experience going through the whole thing is that hard work and discipline keeps paying off if you keep your focus on your goal. Okay? And you may be wondering, okay, that last lesson, hard work and discipline pays off. What do you mean? Okay. Well, that year at the fair, I took reserve champion showman and reserve champion market for my steer. That means overall, of all of the other showmen and all of the other steers, I came in second place showing my animal at the fair. That means that I presented myself. I did everything that I needed to do. I was professional and I showed my heart out over all of the other showmen. And then my steer came in second as well, looking the best at the fair. There's a lot that goes into that. If you're not familiar with raising market hogs or steers, I mean, you got to feed it the right proportion, add minerals, add fat, do certain things throughout the year that's needed so it looks the best at the fair. And I was ecstatic. That was the goal I was going for when I went to the fair that year. However, that incident of me being dragged during the first couple of days of the fair could have shook me to my core, could have just really derailed me, right? I needed to shake off that incident and not focus on what happened, but focus on the outcome I had wanted, right? Where your focus and where your energy flows is where you go. It's kind of like driving a car, right? If you want to drive straight forward, you're going to focus straight forward with the steering wheel straight. However, if you're looking out the window and not paying attention to where you're going, you're going to probably rear off the road. That's why I said that very last lesson I learned was hard work and discipline, and keeping my focus paid off. And I needed to shake off that incident and stay focused on the outcome and the goal that I wanted for that fair. The same thing is with our online business. We get to focus on the outcome that we want. If we're constantly focusing on that failed launch, and really, is it a failed launch because we get the lessons that we need to take with us forward and make the changes and tweaks that we need and get the feedback that we need to do it differently next time? I talk about getting the feedback that you need. Their only way to get your feedback that you need in your online business is to actually put the thing out into the world in episode 88. I'll link that up in the show notes here. But there's no such thing as a failure. It's only lessons learned. But if we're constantly focusing on what went wrong, that quote unquote mistake that I made, or that client that didn't pay, or, so-and-so said this, or whatever that is, if we're constantly focusing on negative things, past things, where do you think our direction is going to be heading in our online business? Probably not where we want, not that original goal that we created for our online business. Because where you focus is where your energy flows and goes. We get to learn the lesson that we need to learn from that failed launch and move forward and make appropriate changes and tweaks. I got to learn the lesson from not listening and being obedient to my father and moving forward and, sweeping the fair with second installmentship and second with my market animal, right? And that next lesson, too, is where are we not being obedient to God and what He has called us to do in our online business by His design? Remember, yes, I should have let go. We'll talk about that in a second. But that second lesson is I should have been obedient in the first place, and I wouldn't have been humbled. I wouldn't have been, just really embarrassed because of the incident that happened. That could have derailed my goal for the fair. But where are we not being obedient in God's calling and His plan for His calling on our life? So we can avoid being kind of quote unquote dragged through the mud. And even if we find ourselves being dragged through trials and tribulations in our online business or our life, all we need to remember is to let go and let God. Let go, give it to the Lord, and ask our Heavenly Board of Directors and ask the Holy Spirit to bring back revelation and discernment in where we need to be obedient and do the thing He's asking us to do so we can keep moving forward towards that goal. We get to learn the art of discipline and we get to learn the discipline of hard work and rewarding work and being patient and allowing God to do the work in us and through us so we can avoid certain things like being drugged by a 2,000-pound animal. We get to learn that the rewards come when we keep our focus on the positive outcome, the goals that we want, while locking arms with our Heavenly Board of Directors and the one who called us to this online space in the first place. And going back to, I should have just let go. Let the adults and let the animals, or let the adults get the animal wrangled up. What is something you need just to let go of and let God? What do you need to let go of and let your Heavenly Board of Directors minister to you or the Holy Spirit bring you revelation on? Is there something that you're hanging on to just so tightly that you need to learn to let go and release it and trust? Trust the Holy Spirit inside of you. Trust your Heavenly Board of Directors are really taking you along the right path that's going to take you to the outcome and that goal that you want for your online business. That, I think, is the hardest step, is just to let go. I mean, that was that very first lesson my dad said. You should have just let go. And that was the hardest thing to do at that time, right? Because we're just in the moment. But when we can let go and take a step back and realize, look from a 30,000 foot view, instead of that person hanging on to that rope, trying not to let go, we have a different viewpoint. And that is what our Heavenly Board of Directors has for us. Our Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, they have a different viewpoint for us to look into our online business. God knows the beginning from the end. So we get to let go and we get to trust Him, and then make sure that we're being obedient in the first place and sitting and spending time listening to where He wants to take us and what He wants to do through us, and that calling and that desire and that fire inside that He's given us to extract our God-given genius zone and create a business around that knowledge that we have, that hobby that we love, or our life experiences where we can bring a heavenly solution down to an earthly problem to help those that we're called to serve. And even when we get dragged through the mud, because you're going to, you just are, whether it's someone coming at you and attacking you for what you said, or, just our imposter syndrome, our comparisonitis that we go through as Christian women entrepreneurs, we need to shake off that incident. Once again, let go, give it to God, shake off that incident, not focus on it, and remember to put our blinders on and keep moving forward. Because where we focus is where our energy flows and goes. And we get to learn the lessons. We get to learn to let go. We learn the lessons from quote unquote mistakes, and we get to move forward. We get to listen and be obedient to God's calling on our life and for our online business by God's design. And remember, when we find ourselves being dragged through different trials, tribulations, tech issues, frustrations, then we can let go, let God, and have our Heavenly Board of Directors bring us revelation on what we need to do next. So we can avoid things, so we can move quicker, so the Holy Spirit can bring us revelation of, so-and-so knows how to do this, give her a call, right? So we can keep our focus on the positive outcome and goals that we want when we lock arms with our Heavenly Board of Directors who called us to this online space in the first place. There's always going to be lessons we can learn from our quote unquote failures and mistakes. And those are made so we don't want to make mistakes and failures, but we get to reframe what these mistakes and failures actually mean. And that is the powerful difference. We can take the lesson that we need and move forward and let go of everything that happened in the past and reach our goal. The same way that I did when I took second place with showmanship at the fair and second place in market beef with my steer as well. I could have let that incident earlier that week just derail my whole week, but I didn't, because of the hard work, the discipline, and the lessons that were taught throughout the years of raising animals, showing animals, and what my parents instilled in me. And those are the lessons that we can learn and apply to our online business today, because we can always learn from these. And you know that you have a powerful calling, you have a powerful message, and your people need to hear that message, because what you are doing in your kingdom business is making a powerful difference in the world today. All right, I pray this that blessed you, and thank you so much for being here again with me today, and I will see you at the next episode.
That's it for today, friends. Real quick before you go, if this podcast has blessed you in some way, the number one way that you can thank me is to leave a written review over on Apple Podcasts. The second thing you can do is take a screenshot of this episode or that review and tag me over on social media in your stories at Kristen Duranci. And then I will share you in my stories and give you a shout out. This not only blesses me, but you are creating a ripple effect by getting this message into the hands of others that might need to hear it. And know that there's only one you. Someone is out there waiting to hear from you. They're waiting for your message, your story, and your solution to their problem. You are the expert they're waiting to hear from. I want you to know this, feel this, and most importantly, be this. Never underestimate the impact and power that you have been given through the Holy Spirit. Be blessed, friend, and I'll see you on the next episode.